I'm live. Can anyone?
It's not on there.
Why though? Hang on, SUFC TV. Go onto the page and.
I'm just following the link that's been given.
Oh shit.
Which is what everyone's done, I believe.
Well, I'm not sure the links worked.
Is that what it is?
I think so. I've had to start a new one. So just tell people to go onto the SUFC TV YouTube. And
I think we might.
I think we're live. What's the link? Yeah, that link just says video unavailable now.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to tweet underneath updated link for tonight's video. Please.
Is that like a club account?
Yeah. No. It's just going to be from.
So if people go to the page, can they get it?
If they go to the Sutton United YouTube page, then yeah. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
it says I've got 3 viewers now, so it should be working slightly more.
1 second. I'm just trying to.
Duncan says he can see me. Apologies to anyone watching for us trying to set up this stream. James says I'm live, which is great. Just got to hope people start streaming in now, as I've. Right, I suppose when you're ready, Courtney, we can start this again.
Yeah, I'm here and I'm ready.
Well, for the people that are slowly joining us, and I know you've just had to repeat this story, but how did you get involved with football, and what's your journey been like to get to Sutton's under-21 squad?
Started playing football when I was 6, from a young age. It's the first sort of sport I loved. Then at a club called Chessington Sports.
Hang on 1 second. Duncan's telling us not to start. Oh, this is bloody. Right.
Yeah, none of my family can get it.
retweeted it, so that should help. Guessing Sutton, yeah. We are just waiting for Duncan to give us the all clear. Just waiting. There's no point ending the stream because I think it would just cause more hassle than it's worth.
Is the new link you sent working now?
Yeah. Right, it looks as though we're all good to go.
Okay, perfect.
So, for those of you who are just tuning in, welcome to Sutton United Football Club TV Women's Tuesday Night Special Edition. Sorry about the issues we were having with the previous link, and I'm glad hopefully most of you have moved on to this one and can successfully hear the interesting interview that will be going on for you for the next hour or so between me and Courtney, the under-21 Sutton United manager, and Duncan Muller, the first team manager. But we are here to start off with Courtney. Courtney, welcome. We have had this question once before, but no one heard it. So for everyone listening now, how did you first get involved in the wonderful game of football?
Yeah, okay, no worries. So, started from a young age. First sort of sport I got into. Started playing for a team called Chesington Sports when I was 6. And then ended up playing for them for 10 years. Within that, having my dad and my granddad as manager and coach, which was fantastic because obviously your dad is always your first and biggest critic. So probably made me a little bit of a better player and pushed me more as well, I'd definitely say. And then within that, I was playing at Chelsea Development and Fulham Centre of Excellence for a couple of years. At 16, 17, the team, obviously, we couldn't go any further, so we stopped playing, but obviously we still keep in touch at that.
Yeah, sorry, carry on.
So I went with a coaching company who used to coach me. I went with a coaching company who used to coach me called Johnson's Football Schools. Absolutely fantastic little setup, and actually it's my best friend's brother who owns it and runs it, which is great. So school used to let me leave early because they offered me a job off of the back of my work experience on that. And then that led me into what I do now, which is PE teaching for Leo Academies, which is great. And through that, one of my colleagues sent on my number to Duncan 2 years ago for the under-14s managerial role at Sutton United. So yeah.
And how does it feel playing mainly with men growing up and then moving on to focus on the women's game?
Yeah, it's quite strange, and obviously I only played for Fulham and Chelsea for a little while, and that was only girls, and that was when I was younger, so it was quite different. I would say that being, older teenage, like 16, 17, playing in an all boys team, you definitely got a beeline made for you. But that just made me a little bit stronger and more willing and more wanting to do things, and just prove myself a little bit more. So yeah, I mean, it was the men's game was obviously different, but I love the women's game, and at the end of the day, it's still the same game, and that's it.
And you've been the manager for the under-21s for about a year now. How do you think that you've done as a manager, and how do you think the team have progressed?
I think you learn things as you go. So, stepping into the role. When I first got the call at the end of the season for the under-14s from Duncan, I was actually at work in my lunch break, and he rang and said, "How's the under-21 sound?" And I was quite shocked and taken back, because 19, just turned 19 years of age, that was a big thing to take on, a big step to take. But yeah, it was amazing, fantastic. So obviously I took that up straight away. As a manager, obviously I didn't feel ready in myself to go into that, but I think you sort of doubt yourself a little bit in any situation, and sort of went into it, and I feel like I've done quite well. Obviously picked things up along the way, and having great coaches to sort of watch and to learn from is even better. The team at the start of the season was completely new, so all the girls, or majority of them, all came in new. We had a few existing players, but obviously again I'd never met them before, didn't really know much. So for all of us it was new really. Start of the season went really well. We were smashing games, and then we actually lost to Bromley, I believe it was, first game of the season, away game of the season, which was about 4 or 5 games in. So to be on a winning streak, to then losing, and we only lost 4-3, where Bromley was smashing every team, quite big results, was a knock for the girls, and I think then cracks started to show a little bit. But it was a massive learning curve for us, and I think as a manager you've got to make the players have a little bit more self-belief, and we had to work on a few things, not only on the ball but off the ball, and our attitude towards wanting to improve, wanting to get better, because once you've had a knock, it's quite hard to get back up from it, and the girls lose that self-belief, but we picked ourselves up, and they've been fantastic. We've done really well, worked hard, and then carried on with the rest of the season, and done really well. Within that, having 2 players actually move up to the first team, and also having a number of players make their first team debut more than once, which is amazing. To complete in not even a full season, I think that's a massive achievement in itself.
And I have to ask, as an individual, what would you say is your managerial strengths? Do you like to see yourself as a tactician or as a motivator for the players? Where would you see your managerial skills going to the best effect?
Oh, you caught me off guard there. I think it's more, I'm, without sounding like a bit off, it's weird being similar ages to most of the girls, and some of them actually being older than me. So I sort of think, how would I want to be approached if I was still playing? And what would I need? So I sort of go in with we always have banter. That's one main thing that we keep, but everyone knows that sort of line and respect and boundary. The girls are easily motivated, and I think that's very, very important. You need to keep that motivation there. So I would say I'm a big motivator, but tactically, I think you need to have that attribute as a manager, just to spot things straight off and know what to do to improve and to move on and to make them tactical decisions to win the game. So I'd say I'm a bit of both, to be honest with you.
Do you ever sort of separate your desire to develop these players along, and do you sometimes have a desire to focus on maybe the league and the position that you're in as a manager of the team, and sometimes do you think less about wanting some of these players to go up to the first team, and more about how you can use them to progress.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, sometimes it's hard not to be a little bit selfish, but you know, the under 21s, it's sort of a playground for the girls, if you like. It's a way in to the first team, and I think it's very important that everyone knows that we have such a strong want for the girls to develop, and that's one of our key things that we look to do. I mean, we have 3 players, if not a couple more, go up weekly to the first team after our training. It's fantastic to have that link because it does develop the girls so much. So I think the development of the players is so important, and that's key for us, and especially for me. But in some situations, like, we have been a little bit selfish, and you know, you always want to win. Everyone wants to win. No one likes losing. And it's about winning. And if you don't win, then it's learning. It's not losing. You know, yeah, you have lost, but you learn from that and you move on. It's sort of you build characters from that. So I think the girls always want to win, and that's what we go out to do. But the key focus is to develop every single one of those players.
Is it? Can it be a weird atmosphere almost when somebody maybe has a couple of games, or say a friendly or a cup game with the first team, and then comes back to the under-21s? Is everyone just happy for one another, or does a mindset have to be made?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, all of the girls are friends, so I mean, everyone's so buzzing for each other if they do go up, and if someone goes in training with the first team, the girls, you know, make a big deal of it. Oh, well done, and even more of a big deal when they go and play for them. Again, then if they come back down, you've obviously got to have that mentality of, you know, if you see someone else doing it, then you're going to want to do it as well. And once the girls have gone up, and if they do come, you know, if they go up for a game and then come back, they've had the taste for it and they want to go and do it again, and it only makes the others and that player work harder. So, you know, everyone wants that opportunity and everyone wants to prove themselves, and I think it's a fantastic thing to do because it then makes everyone more hungry to go and do it and work harder.
How enjoyable is it to watch some players that you've trained consistently play now for the first team and perform and cement places in that squad?
Yeah, it's really rewarding just to see, because, you know, like, there's a couple of players who have done that, and when you step back, you see so much more potential in them than they see in themselves, and they sort of doubt themselves. So to make them believe that, and then to watch them play in the first team, like, week in, week out, is so rewarding. And to think that you've had like a role to play and a big part to play in their journey is really nice to take away with you.
And on that note, how is your relationship with Duncan and the first team manager? Is there ever, like you said, you can be a little bit selfish, but do you ever get to a point where it's like, don't take her off me just yet?
I mean, my relationship with Duncan's great. We're great friends, and we speak every day about the development of the players. Like, without fail, we'll speak day in, day out about how we can move forwards and change things. And, you know, I'll have my opinion, he'll have his. And if we do come to a disagreement, we always find a mutual ground. But 9 times out of 10, it's nice to have someone else's opinion on things to do that. I mean, yeah, we get on so great that it works so well, and it's fantastic. I don't think you could do it if you didn't get on well with someone that you have to work so closely with.
Sophia has just added into the chat, and she has asked you what was your favourite game this season and why. I only have the one clip that I was able to successfully download that I will try and put up for everyone. I think there we go, should be up on the stream. But yeah, what was your favourite game and why?
Yeah, cheers, so thanks for that, mate. Caught me right off guard. I think every game's enjoyable, but if I had to choose one, I'd say right at the start of the season when we play London Actonians away. It was obviously the first game, and everyone was a bit on edge as to how things were going to go, and was it going to go our way, and we came out with a fantastic result. And all the girls had the biggest smiles on their face, and they were all buzzing, and it just gave them a want to go and play again. And it was so nice to see, because we only had, you know, a handful of training sessions, and people were still unsure of like a couple of people's names. So to to go from that to then working as such a great team and moving forwards was amazing. And yeah, so I'd have to say that'd be my favourite.
Have you had to make much of an effort throughout the isolation period to keep the communication between the squad together and to keep everyone, or at least thinking about, staying fit and healthy and knowing that whenever we might come back, you might have a game on pretty soon after, and that sort of mentality?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a group chat that we all speak in, that banner in, and obviously the girls then have their own one because it's nice for them to do that. So many of them message me individually and privately, like, look at this, today I've done this run, or I've been doing this, been doing that. They're so eager to tell you, again, because they're so eager to move on when we come back and get into that first team, that they're just doing it without even needing to be asked or to be, pushed, which is fantastic. Obviously we're doing lots of bits and pieces and giving them challenges and tasks, and just to like FaceTimes and keeping the banter up is quite important, and just making sure everyone's okay really. So yeah, no, it's been alright, and all of the girls are fantastic at doing it anyway off their own backs and because they want it, like I say. So yeah, it's not been too difficult.
And what would you like to see? What would you like to see happen when you come back? Would you like to play lots of games all at once to get the schedule back to normal, or would you like it just to feel relatively like it was, but just push back?
Yeah, I think it's important for the girls to come back in and find their feet again, and for us managers and coaches as well, to go in and find your feet again and get used to the setup, because it's been a while. Like, 1 or 2 game break is enough, let alone having all this time out. So they need to come back to it, have a few training sessions, get used to being back, and then that's it. And then yeah, we go from there. So I'd like to keep it as similar as it was. I don't think going in playing loads and loads of games is going to help anybody.
No, I completely agree. I've got one more question for you. What does the future hold for Courtney? Where do you see yourself long term? First women's Premier League men's manager?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. That's a huge target, but I'd love to make a name for myself and sort of create history. I think at a young age of only 20 now, to have been able to do what I've done so far, and be a primary school PE teacher, be the under 21 manager at Sutton United, which I've actually done majority of the season by myself because coaches come in and go and people are not right for the job. When you do it by yourself, I think it makes you realise how much you've actually accomplished. So going forward, I think that's definitely the goal.
Yeah, and it's crucial for all people to feel as though that they can go the whole way, and there's no reason why you shouldn't feel like you go the whole way.
Absolutely.
Got a question from Cinders CC. That can only be the one and only Captain Colliver. She asked, how difficult was it to implement the same style of football as the first team, despite having a squad where maybe players' strengths aren't the same?
Yeah, that's a great question there, Sin. We obviously try and play the same formation, same sort of, we set out to do exactly the same thing, pure to the fact that, if the girls do develop, and when they do develop, I should say, they go straight up and they know what they're doing and they fit in so well. So obviously it took a lot of hard work and training, and I think even now, there's things that the girls question and I question, and we look into it, and then we obviously come and watch the first team game, which helps so much. They're always free to go and speak to Duncan and the first team coaches, which is great, if they're unsure on something that they want to double check. But I think making sure you use your players and what they have to their advantages, and then you sort of mould it into what you want it and need it to be. So to start off with, it was quite difficult, but I think now everyone's found their feet. It's been quite easy, and it's amazing. It's great that we also have that link to be able to do that.
I'm not not too sure about that next question. You feel free to ignore this question, but we have had. Do you think any of your actions from the current season has put the players' confidence down? Not sure that it's the most. It seems more like a backhanded question, but if you have got anything to say, feel free.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say any of my actions. I think I constantly try and make the girls believe in themselves. I don't think anyone should have a lack of confidence. I think if they do, again, like I say to you, it's been a season where coaches have come in and not been right for the job and not shown the correct, without going into it too much, shown the correct attributes towards the women's game and towards myself. I don't think people like working with and alongside a female in that role. So I think if confidence has been knocked, it is due to people coming in and going, which anyone would, if you're not used to a face, they're there for 5 minutes and then they're not there, it's going to have you sort of caught off guard a little bit. So yeah, I think if anyone's confidence has been knocked, which I'm unaware of, obviously, then it'd probably be due to that.
And that's why being a manager of the team it has to be such a personal thing as well. You have to be able to try and be as transparent with your players as much as possible. And I imagine that has to be the case when it comes to potentially a certain player who isn't necessarily getting those first team opportunities or feels like they may be stagnating in the under-21s. Just what sort of, without spoiling everything and giving away your master plan, what sort of things do you say to someone to keep them motivated and wanting to carry on and giving their all?
I think some of the younger players in the team, as a young teenager, you're going to have certain attitudes if it doesn't go your way the first time, you sort of want to give up, and it's not a case of that. There's no time that you can't do that. You need to get on with it and be able to push yourself and pick yourself back up. So I think for the teenage and the younger players, it's quite difficult to motivate them, but you sort of have to sit with them. Sometimes they don't want to talk, they just want to sort of get on with it, which is understandable, and just do their own thing, which is fine. But I don't give up. I sit and talk to someone until they speak back to me. So because I know there's something that they want to get out, so I'll sit and we'll just have general conversations. Just it might not even be football related until we then start speaking and how do you think you could do better, and why do you think this hasn't gone your way? What could we do to improve that? And sort of trying to make them see things from a different light and different perspective, and then they start to understand a little bit, so they're not so one-track minded, which I think half the time can be the case.
I think it's very clear for anyone who's listening that your determination is very obvious, and it shines through the way that you talk about not only the team but yourself, and how you just want to keep pushing for more for Absolutely. Not only the squad but for Sutton as well. Is there anything that you'd like to plug regarding the under-21s or for Sutton in general? Anything that you'd like to let the stream know about?
No, I just think it's an amazing club and it's got such amazing people there, and I wouldn't change it for the world if I'm honest. I love being there. It's a place I love being. I actually drove past in the car yesterday and sort of tearing up a little bit, thinking, no, I really miss it. You don't realise something until it's taken away. So yeah, it's an amazing place to be, and if any young girls or even adults are looking to get into football, definitely get yourselves down to the trials and try and get yourselves involved, because it's a fantastic setup and I don't think there's one that matches it.
Yeah, that is the best advice that we can give you out of today, is that when this is all over, come and trial for Sutton United if you think you've got it, because they'll treat you well.
Yeah, it's a great place to be. Before we finish, I would just like to give a huge shout out to the NHS. They're doing such a fantastic job. I have family and friends that work for the NHS, and it's amazing what people are doing, so thank you.
We all here at Sutton United FC TV, we all feel the exact same way and want to thank everyone from not only the NHS but the people who have to suffer with the insufferable in supermarkets and the delivery drivers who risk getting themselves infected, from everyone who's putting an effort in when they don't have to, for us to stay at home. Thank you very much. And yeah, it's been lovely having you. We are now going to move on to listening to Duncan, interviewing Duncan. So if you'd like to listen to what he has to say, you can always just stay on the stream. But Courtney, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you again soon when this is all back to normal.
Definitely.
Best of luck with the rest of your team, and
Thank you very much.
I'll speak to you soon.
Definitely. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you, Connor.
Thank you very much. Stay safe. Goodbye. And we will now just patiently wait for Duncan to pick up the phone, but I have a slight feeling he's going to pick it up in a matter of 5 seconds. Oh, less than 5 seconds. Duncan Muller, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. How you doing, you alright?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, yeah, trying to keep busy and stuff. Like we all like.
Yeah, and you're from what I've been told, you're still working at the moment, despite
Yeah, I'm still working at home. I'm working on a few projects for the club, as I normally do. We're working on some stuff on the media side with Cindy, and we're obviously preparing as much as we possibly can for when we go back. Had a couple of online meetings today with the league, a few conversations, obviously discussions with Courtney, discussions about the team for next season, and obviously discussions with David Meek about the youth section, because obviously we've got a lot of planning to put into place for that as well. So we've started the 5k run initiative today, all of our young players, our first team under 21, so we're hoping to raise a bit of money for the NHS there. And hopefully there'll be some messages going out online about it, how anyone else can join in if they want to.
And I spoke to Cindy briefly about this last week, but how have you found communicating with the rest of your team and keeping track on them with their fitness and making sure that they're still kicking the ball about? And
Well, I mean, we talk quite a lot. We've got, like most teams, we've got a group chat and stuff like that. With messages gone into there. I actually sent the players something in the post. I won't tell you what it is because it was a surprise for each of them. Just thought it'd be a nice thing over Easter maybe. I don't need to go on to them about fitness and stuff like that. They're all adults, they're all perfectly capable of doing their own thing. They keep themselves busy. I've seen them all posting about their jogging all day. I mean, Darcy goes for runs every morning. You see her posting videos about it. Cindy's brother, the gym instructor, so he's got her working non-stop all the time. Gabby's out running. So all of them are pretty conscientious when it comes to that, as are the under 21s as well. So we don't really need to be chasing them all the time. I'm kind of letting them. I'm trying not to hassle people too much because it's a difficult time for everyone. The last thing you want to do is keep going at everyone and being on their case. Or people just try and relax, spend some time with their family and stuff at the moment.
yeah, 100%. So obviously I've known you for nearly a year now, and you've been Sutton United women's manager for 3 years. But take us back. Take us as far back as you can when it comes to you and the wonderful game.
I mean, I come from a very, very football-orientated family. My granddad played for Millwall, played for Wimbledon. He was cruciate knee ligaments, I think, when he was about 22, 23. Also played cricket for Kent, I think it was, county cricket. Back then, everyone was a multi-sportsman. They did lots of different things. So he was a very, very good cricketer and a very, very good footballer. But got injured at a young age and then went into refereeing, and then refereed all over the world, refereed to the international stages, and we've got lots of memorabilia.
Wow.
So he kind of got me into football, I'd say, and my dad was a massive influence over me on football. He played at a very good level, just kind of short of National League, I'd say, equivalent today. Was a very good footballer. It still reminds me about it constantly today. Goes on about how many goals he scored compared to me, quite a lot. But it's all very good. And then I started playing like most kids do, school team and stuff like that. And then as I got older, I kind of lost the interest so much as a player. I mean, I was a decent player, to be fair. being big-headed, but I didn't have enough work rate in me. I was a bit lazy. I was a lazy centre forward, put it that way. I could finish well, but I didn't like doing all the work. And then obviously I had children at a young age and stuff, and kind of fell out of the game for a couple of years really. And then I kind of got back into playing again, playing for my dad, funnily enough, my dad's local team. And then I kind of got involved with that, and then I went into management at 24. My dad retired from managing the team. He'd done it for a long time, and I took over. It was a difficult time, being a manager and player as well. It's hard to take that responsibility on board, but kind of worked well.
And I can assume that at that time you weren't qualified, obviously. It was just a team that you were managing, taking over from your old man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't have any badges or anything. I didn't really have any experience, really. I mean, it's kind of a vote, really, kind of went from that. Yeah, it was a difficult situation. The club ended up folding, not because of our results. That doesn't sound great, but yeah, just everyone went their own way and stuff like that. And I ended up joining another club and taking over as manager of their reserve side. I did really well there. And then we took the team away from that club. And I set up a club at Blackheath Wanderers, who'd been running for a number of years, but didn't have a men's team at that point, so I managed them. I'm still playing well, so it's difficult. I never used to take myself off, obviously, because why would I? But yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I managed my brother for a couple of years as well, which was always interesting. We argued a lot on the pitch, put it that way. And then I'll skip a few years because I was a boy with everything, but I played for quite a few years at an okay level. And then when I moved to this area, I was helping out Goals Football Club, playing five-a-side down there for a couple of mates, and ended up doing some refereeing down there for them because they were short a couple of times, and I refereed a girls' five-a-side tournament once. I got chatting to a couple of the girls there, and turned out that one of the girls was the girlfriend of one of my friends who I was playing with. And cut a long story short, anyway, they formed Epsom Eagles, and they asked me to come down and do some coaching because he was quite new to management. And I kind of got involved from there, and it was an eye-opener. I mean, I remember my first training session I did. I didn't really know the girls. We had about 18 of them there. And I'd never really coached women at all. So I kind of treated it the same way as I did men, which was not probably the way to go. But there was an argument in one of the training sessions. Two of the girls squared up to each other and were kicking each other quite a bit. It was a bit tasty. They were getting involved. And I stopped the session at the end, and I just pulled them to one side and said to them, look, we've all got to get on here, we've got to be friends, we've got to work together as a team. Kind of giving the old management talk, didn't you, calm down and all that stuff. And then left them to it, walked away, and then I spoke to my friend Chris. He said, oh, you do realise that they're a couple, they live together. And I'm just flabbergasted. So that was my own eye-opener to football. But then it's been a roller coaster ride ever since then. And we did pretty well with Epsom. We some good players come in. But the club as a whole weren't supporting women's football at the time. They kind of left us to it. So we moved away from there. I set up a team called Surrey Eagles with my friend Bernie and my friend Jodie. We formed them and had quite a decent women's side there. We had one particular good season. We got through to the semi-final of the Surrey Cup. Lost to I can't say the Carl Short. I'm not supposed to say the Carl Short words on Saturday United. I'm not supposed to talk about them, but they beat us in the semi-final with a couple of players who ended up playing for me at Sutton, funny enough. So yeah, I mean, it was difficult at Surrey Eagles because we did a lot. We put a lot of work into it, and we come a long way. But we never had the structure. We never had the youth team and stuff like that. So it was always very difficult to progress, really.
So.
Sorry, go on.
For someone who's been in the women's game for quite a long time, you must have had years of frustration towards the lack of attention that it's received over I mean, in the last 3 years, you could argue that there's been a slight boom, but if you're talking for quite a few years of trying to progress with women's football, it must have been really difficult at times.
It was, yeah. When we first started out, there wasn't really any money in it at all. No one really. We could never get a sponsor. we used to financially support ourselves really, and I put in quite a bit of money over the years. You end up doing that yourself without really realising. I remember the first season we had, we played a ground up near Rose Hill. We'd hired that off the council for our first season, and by chance we went down to look at the ground on the Saturday before our first home game of the season, obviously really excited, and the numpties at the council, had decided to cut the grass a couple of days before, but there's all the grass clippings all over the pitch. So it was literally a mound of grass everywhere. So Jodie and I spent the best part of about 5 hours with rakes and gloves trying to lift all the grass off the pitch and stuff. So that was like, I'd never come across that, to be honest with you. I've never seen that in men's football. I mean, it's got better. It's got far better over the last years. And obviously since we joined Sutton United, and since we come here, the support we get now is second to none. And I think everyone's like to see. And people of older generation that kind of even come around to understanding that now that women's football is just as big, just as important. It might not attract the financial incentives that the Premier League does, but it's getting there, and it doesn't need to be compared to that all the time anyway.
No.
So it's moving in the right direction.
I completely agree. It doesn't need to be put on the exact same stage as the Premier League and compared, because it's just not going to win that race. But it just needs to be available to the people that want to do it, because it usually is on the men's side. So if a woman wants to go and trial somewhere, there should be a team for her to look to be not too far away. That's the bare minimum I think people can ask for in women's football.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many youngsters involved in the game now. I mean, if you look at our club, when we go down to under nines, and they absolutely adore the game. There's so much interest in it now. There never has been that. Never like that when I was younger. Girls never played football. I mean, you never got girls kicking the ball around in the playground and stuff like that when all the boys were. It's brilliant now that girls are encouraged to play it. And you see it in the adverts on telly now. You see kids kicking balls around and stuff, and it's not always the boys that are doing it. So, but yeah, just keep it separate. Don't compare it. It's not going to have the same financial backing. It probably never will as a Premiership. I mean, you're talking about football that's been around for 100 years or over that. So it's going to take a long time to get anywhere near to what the men's game is. But it's an enjoyable game that other people enjoy, that we enjoy, and we put a lot of time into, and the players get the benefit of it. So that's the main thing.
100%. So we've seen the build-up. Now, run us through the highs and lows of your times as the head of football, head of women's football, and the first team manager at Sutton United. Run us through the past 3 years.
When I first came in, they had one team, I think. Off the top of my head, it might be wrong, might be two. So Tony Henderson-Smith had done his best to kind of keep the girls afloat, and I met with him when I first came to the club, and Bobby Charles, and we had quite a few meetings, went through a lot of things, discussions and stuff, and I was only really coming in to manage the first team. Originally, that was only going to be the appointment I was originally only interested in. It was Bobby who kind of said, well, no, why don't you become head of girls football, women's football, and then oversee the whole lot, which was a bit daunting, I must say. But I had some very good people there. I mean, Mark Back was with me at the time. He was phenomenal, did a lot of work, was a brilliant person to work with. Really enjoyed the time with Mark. Tony was doing everything he could. I had some great coaches there at the time, Dean Sturt and people like that. They were doing really, really well with their sides. And then we went about setting up a structure there. And we had some good players coming through. We were lucky, I think, that year that a couple of clubs local to us, one down the road that I can't mention, folded. And we took a lot of players from there. And then we started, the idea was to try and fill from the younger age groups. And most of my time here has been brilliant. Most of the things that have happened have been fantastic. I've loved seeing the youngsters come through. It's been brilliant to see with people like Lucy Wright, for example, who's been with the under-21s this year, has come through from the under-16s through to the under-21s and done very well. Erin, who's come through from the under-21s to the first team, those things are brilliant. But also one of the brilliant things I did, I went to watch the under-13s in the Cup semi-final this year, which was amazing. They were superb, and I had a chat with them. I was asked to speak to them at half-time to kind of try and inspire them a bit, but I mean, it wasn't down to me, it was down to the coaches and down to them. So, I mean, there's been some sad times. Obviously, there's been things we've had to deal with the club. You always have your problems and stuff. I mean, winning the league has been a massive high for us. I mean, 2 years running, getting to the cup final this year would have been a massive day out as well. I mean, there's times where you think, oh God, I need a break from it, but I wouldn't give it up for anything, and I wouldn't miss. I'm missing it terribly at the moment. So yeah, it's all good.
Run us through the league. Run us through the league title win. Obviously, I wasn't working with you. Was it a foregone conclusion? Did you have to fight for it?
The first year was difficult, very, very difficult. We had a brand new side. Our first year at the club. I brought a few players with me. Faye was out for most of the year. We've probably been arguably the best player I've ever signed. He's been with me the longest. Been with me for 7 years now.
Wow.
But she'd given birth that year, so she was obviously recovering from that, and couldn't bring her back. But we had some very, very good players. Leona Bale came in that year, scored a hell of a lot of goals. Jade Johnson came with me from Surrey Eagles. Brought Emma Green in after she turned me down first of all. I managed to get her to come back halfway through the season. And we had obviously Stan was controlling the midfield. We were weak at the back, I thought. We weren't as strong as we were at the back. And then we had a blow from losing our goalkeeper. Christine got injured halfway through the season. But I mixed the team around a bit. I didn't go in heavy on any of the cups. I rotated the team around. The players weren't happy with that because they obviously wanted to do well in everything, but I knew promotion was the main game. And then we had a nail-biting game when we went to Tooting and Mitcham to play a team who were based at Tooting and Mitcham, but called AFC Phoenix. We had to avoid defeat to basically win the league. And it was just one of those games. It was unreal. We were on the 3G pitch at the back of their ground, and we surrounded the whole ground with Sutton United supporters. It was phenomenal. It was brilliant. Absolutely amazing day. But we went 1-0 down, then we brought it back to 1-0. Faye scored. Then they went 2-1 up, and then Jade scored a fantastic goal to bring it 2-2. And then with about 10 minutes to go, they went 3-2 up. And then it was obviously incredibly nerve-wracking. And then Emma Green hit a worldie and just nailed that unreal goal. And we saw it out for the last couple of minutes, and then we knew we only needed to win the following game, which we knew we'd beat the team in the last game of the season. We beat them 8-0, I think it was. And it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant day. Still remember it like it was yesterday. And then last season's title was probably a bit easier. I mean, we knew we'd go into the last game, and funny enough, it shows you how much we come on, because we played the same team, AFC Phoenix, in the very last game at the end of the season again, because they got promoted with us, because they finished runners up from Newport, and we beat them 8-0 in the last game of the season. And we were phenomenal. Cindy scored one of the goals. I mean, she goes on about it all the time, to be fair, but she scored an absolute screamer from miles out. Free kick, bang, top corner. She's never hit one since, obviously.
No, I had this retold to me last week.
Yeah, she tells you about the time on the, doesn't she?
An absolute peach bowl account.
Yeah, I mean, Emily Sandy scored a header, which I've never seen her do before. I mean, brilliant goal as well. And Ella scored a couple. Again, we were fantastic that day. But then this year, the team's moved on again. You know what I mean? We've gone for a younger group of players. We've been very selective over who we recruited this year, and they've done a fantastic job. And it's a shame we won't be celebrating with a league title win and the cup to finish it off this year. But
well, we haven't lost it. It's just we can't play it at the moment, which is very frustrating. I have to ask, how do you, with the game constantly changing, especially in the leagues, and with players being signed, and sometimes clubs will play a very youthful side, or then maybe come out with a completely new experienced side because these developmental sides change. When you're going up against a team that you may have beaten 8-0 and 7-0 in the previous two games, you have to still keep on edge that they might be almost a completely different 11 and play a completely different style now. How do you prepare for that when your mentality is that you've almost confidently beaten them every time?
It's very difficult. It's not like you can't scout these teams like obviously Matty can with the first team, with the men's side. You know what I mean? We don't get to have that opportunity and stuff. That's why I'm kind of selective what you should guys put out on videos or the highlights and stuff, because I don't want everyone to see us and what we're doing. But it's a difficult one. I mean, for example, the Palace game, we knew a bit about Palace coming into that semi-final, but they brought in a girl that plays for their first team. Obviously, that's in the Women's Super League. She's a fantastically gifted player. Yeah, not maybe one of their well-known players, but she's in their squad. And all right, she was a handful, but Jen first half, Jennifer Nevers marked her out of the game. Then Cindy took her out and marked her out of the game in the second half. So we don't really worry about the opposition so much, to be honest. We play our way. We're not going to change that. I'm very, very strict on how the formation is. I won't look at changing that often.
Has that been the case for the 3 years? Have you been 4-2-3-1?
No, I didn't have the players to play the formation I wanted to the last 2 years, because you have to. I mean, the way we played the last 2 years with Ella up front, Ella was a very, very much in the box finisher, and she wouldn't drop back that much. There's no need. All credit to her for doing that. I mean, she scores a fantastic amount of goals doing what she does, but she wouldn't fit in the system that we play in that way. Whereas I can leave Faye as the target player. I play Darcy often behind that, with often Gabby or Erin or Hayley Clark, Hayley Hawford, and then obviously like Vitalia and have come into that as well. But the work rate has to come from those three attackers behind Faye. I think we've worked a lot on that this season. We worked very hard to get that instilled in them, that they're not just out-and-out attackers, and they have to work very hard. And we're very lucky to have two unbelievably strong centre midfielders. I mean, Keisha and Tamara, you get to see them all the time. I don't think you've seen a better partnership in centre midfield for a long time with them.
I was just about to bring both of them up, because the three in front of them, they are, you could argue that's the position that you're swapping out most frequently, because they are the ones that are really putting the burners in with the pressure and allowing Faye and then even Jennifer or Emily or Evie, who's playing on the fullbacks, it allows them to pick up space, and it also, if they're being on the ball, it just suddenly, you allow Tamara and Keisha to push forward, and all of a sudden you've got 5, 6, 7 players in an attacking position, all wanting and moving around with the ball. It's incredible that the any of those players, where they know if they're playing in that attacking free, that it's going to be a busy day for them, and it's a constant pressure, that role. Would you agree?
Definitely so, yeah. I mean, they have to work very, very hard in that. We're fortunate enough that we're still in a league which allows you to kind of rotate on and off. So we can give the players a breather when it's needed. I mean, if I'm honest, I think Darcy is probably the fittest out of them. Gabby and Hayley put a hell of a lot of effort in early on, Erin as well. But it's also good to give them a rest. I mean, not to get in the Hayley Clark, obviously, again, only gave birth to her son a year ago, so that's a lot to come back for.
She's put in performances recently where you wouldn't have ever considered that either.
Sorry, say that again, Connor.
She's had to put performances either in the deeper in the midfield and in the attacking midfield, where you wouldn't have thought that she'd have that sort of, not setback, but to have been that busy a year ago dealing with something like that.
She's the great thing about Hayley is I know I can count on her if I need to put her in the centre midfield. If we need to give T or Keisha a rest, I know I can put her or Gabby in there, and they'll do a very good job. They're both very experienced players. I don't think we're still not seeing the best of Hayley yet. I said to her when she first joined, it'll take her a year or so to get back to what she was, and she's a very, very talented player. We're lucky to have her, and I know that only better things are going to come from her. But we're lucky with that. The players we've got are only going to get better and better. We haven't got anyone that's kind of on the downward spiral, really. I mean, he's mentioned the fullbacks. I can't think of any better fullbacks I've had as players with them three. I mean, Emily's done fantastic coming in. Evie's an unbelievably gifted player for a 16-year-old, and Jen is just unreal now at 17. I mean, she just bosses every game from that position.
I have to ask about Jennifer, because obviously she's been one of the first names on the team sheet all year round with that right back position. She's cemented it, but as we've both seen, she's got pace to burn. She's got the good footwork and dribbling ability. She can make a tackle and she can put a good cross in. Do you see her? Do you see yourself ever playing her in a position other than fullback?
Possibly. She used to play right wing for me before. We played 4-4-2. She could play in that three, but it's taken her a while to learn the position of right back, so I don't want to kind of move her around too many times, sorry, I should say. And when you move her from there, you're taking away something that you haven't got on that right side. Yeah, I mean, if I've got another player come in that's like for like, then maybe it's an option. But with her, I mean, the strange thing about Jen, and the thing that all the players will tell you about Jen, is she is the warmest, nicest girl you could ever meet. Never got bad words saying about anyone, never moans, always positive, so polite, unreal polite, you know what I mean, like proper manners. But she just doesn't get into her head how good she is. You know what I mean? When that Palace semi-final, I said to her half time, you're playing absolutely brilliant. She was saying, I can't keep up with that girl, she's too good. But we all said the exact opposite to her, that she was marking her out of the game. And if you watch the highlights back, she did. She kept up with her all the time. And she's like that every week. And every week she'll come off thinking she's not done well. And she's amazed when you give her a player of the match or anything like that. She just needs to get that belief in her own self.
Well, one benefit you can say is that if you keep thinking that she's playing great and she's not up, and she doesn't think she's up to scratch, then maybe you just keep it that way. And if she keeps improving, we'll all benefit from it. But no, she does need to realise how technically gifted she is for her age, and how in a squad with so many positions that can be swapped around. For example, we've seen Evie play at left back and at centre back. We've seen some go from fullbacks to part of the attacking three. The fact that she's cemented that position and it's a new position that she's used to just shows how successful that she has in making that position her own.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I would say that she's got competition. I mean, there's good players in the under-21s that can play that role. Becky, for the under-21s, is a fantastic player, very, very quick. Probably doesn't have Jen's ability to cross the ball yet, but she'll work on that. Naomi's another one. So there's options there to move Jen. If we needed to move Jen further forward, we could bring in those players. I think they're not far away from making the first team at the moment. So that's obviously spoke to Courtney earlier. That's because of the great work she does in that team. So we're very lucky to have some young good players coming up.
Did you feel like you were taking almost like a necessary risk when you asked Courtney to manage a team of people that are all similarly her age?
With the greatest respect to Courtney, and I love her to bits, but she's like 20 going on 50. You know her. She's the most, like, obviously she can bless about her mates and be like her own age and go out drinking and do all the stuff youngsters do, but then she'll sit in a meeting and be totally different and be like she's a seasoned, experienced football manager. She's got all the makings and all the ability of a very, very good manager and a very good coach. So I had no issue with putting her into that job. I mean, the two that were on it before decided to leave, so it was kind of the decision I had to make. I could have advertised it, but I knew that she'd do the right. I knew she'd do the right thing. She had a very, very difficult time because we brought in a couple of coaches to work alongside her, and they didn't take too kindly to a woman telling them what to do. So I didn't take too kindly to them being at the club. Wasn't the right place for them at all. But we've made an appointment alongside her for next season, and things will help her out there. She definitely needs some sort of help. I mean, she's done a fantastic job on her own anyway, but everyone needs help with them. So yeah, I guess I'd say it was maybe a risk. It always is. You're never certain how anyone's going to work out. It's a risk that I wanted to take, and I knew it was the right thing. We spoke quite a lot about it, Courtney and I, before we confirmed it all. and the fact that she was so eager to do it, and had so many different ideas, and the fact that we get on so well and we have such a good relationship, she doesn't get the ump if I take anyone into the first team. She doesn't get annoyed. She understands that's what the team want and they need. They need to have that push to the first team. They need to understand that's where they want to be. So she is brilliant at her job, and I'm delighted that we have her here. We're very lucky. We've got some very, very good coaches in the youth team as well.
Could you ever see yourself handing the reins over in a few years' time?
Did she tell you to ask me that?
No, she did not. You know me, I like.
I'm still young. We'll see what happens in the next few years. We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I can't see. I haven't got any plans to retire just yet. But you never know. Yeah, but she, whatever team she's managing, she'll do a very, very good job, no matter what, whether it's the under 21s or the first team. I like her as a manager. I think she's good. What she does. I mean, I've got some very good coaches in the first team. Would they arguably be good managers? Probably not. With all the will in the world. I mean, I listened to Dodds' interview last night. Sunday night, when he was talking about his players, whether Sutton United players would be good managers. And it's very, very different managing to coaching. Very different. I mean, you deal with everyone's problems. I mean, Courtney gets phone calls at 11 o'clock at night on a Sunday from someone who's unhappy or someone's not getting enough time and stuff like that. You have to be a counsellor, you have to be a parent, you have to be everything for the players all the time. And she does that brilliantly. And to be doing that with players that are only a couple of years younger than her is all credit to her. And I couldn't be more proud of her. She's not having my job, put it that way.
I have to ask, when you're in a match day situation, and obviously you've won 2 titles, you're progressing. Obviously, we've had to halt at this point. But when the success is going so well, how concerned are you, or how concerned do you get that your time with these players might be running out because someone higher up may be trying to look for them?
Yeah, I'm a bag of nerves all the time. I'm always worried. I was worried towards the end of the season that we might lose players. I mean, no, you don't want to stand in the way of someone progressing. If someone gets a really, really good offer from a team 3 or 4 divisions above us and can make a name for themselves, yeah, you're going to be proud that they're going to do that and you're going to support them. Although it's sad that they go. I mean, we have a certain recruitment process that kind of brought in more last year than I have done any previous years. We kind of look in the player's character as much as they're on the ball. Kind of look at how they react to when you're talking to them. If they look at you, if they're concentrating, if they've got good work ethic, if they're polite, if they're on time, all those kind of things. I mean, yeah, you want your players to do very well, and you want people to get out play at the best level they can. But from a selfish point of view, you want to always keep your best players. We don't poach players. We don't look at other clubs, and I never ever go and speak to other players at other clubs, even though they might be very, very good. If they come to us, that's different. But I don't think anyone should be approaching people. We've had it done to us. It's not nice. I don't like it, so I won't be doing it to any other team because it's always difficult for people to get good players in. So if they've done well to attract the players to their club, all credit to them. That's how it should be. If people are unhappy and they have the right to change clubs, that's fine. No one stands in their way. But what we have to do is we have to make it the right place for people to want to play at. We have to keep the players we've got. I mean, I can tell you now we're losing 2 players out of the first team this year. So that's through my choice, and the rest are all staying. So that shows you how we must be doing something right. There must be a reason why they want to stay here. They must be enjoying it, and that's all credit to everyone at the club. You know what I mean? Not just me, all the people, all the coaches, from JJ, Dave, James, Seb, and all the work you guys do as well. That's a massive thing for them. The players love all that. The players love being at the club. So if that's the right way we're selling the club, then I can't see why people will want to leave. You're always going to get 1 or 2 that aren't happy if they're not getting game time or want to go somewhere else. Fair enough. But we just have to make sure we do the right things.
Do you find it difficult bringing in new players into the first team? Just as an example, obviously you brought Darcy Wells in from Wimbledon, was it?
No, she came from Bromley.
Bromley, sorry.
Yeah,
And obviously she came in, was scoring goals and seems to have fit in perfectly. And then as another example, not as a negative example, just as an example from this season, Hayley Hawford's been brought in, and she's had, I believe, a cup start and some substitute appearances and a goal wrongly ruled out offside in her first goal wrongly ruled out offside in the cup semi-final. But how difficult is it for you to introduce a new player to an already close bunch and then get them playing the way you want them to?
I mean, with Darcy's the only player I've ever signed on a recommendation. I never saw her play. I saw videos of her. I liked what I saw. She never trialled for me or anything. I signed her purely on Emily recommended her. Said that she's definitely got to sign her. She's a fantastic player, and so we thank her for that. She's been brilliant for us. I wouldn't have believed to see her play. She's been that good a player. She gets better and better every game. I like her hunger. I like her fire. I like the fact that she can hold her own a bit. I like the fact that she's got a bit of anger about her. I think we need that.
She's had some outrageous finishes this season.
Yeah, I mean, some of her goals are just unbelievable, isn't they? So, and she'll get better and better. Hayley, I don't think anyone's seen the best of Hayley yet. I mean, when I first had her up,
it is just everyone but.
There was one, I think it was a second session I did with her, where I just worked with her on finishing, and her finishing was outrageous, closest thing I've seen to Darcy. And I know once she's come back from some horrendous injuries and kind of lost the love of the game a bit at a difficult time at her previous club, and then came to us and got really ill just before all the corona kicked off. She had sort of almost pneumonia and was in hospital for a while, and that's knocked her back a bit. She's got fantastic enthusiasm and fantastic ability, and as she gets up to her fitness levels that she knows she can produce, she'll score bad goals. And her and Darcy is going to be a hell of a combination next year. So the other thing I'd say, the best thing about it is the players are so welcoming. From anyone that's come to us, we've had a young girl who was at Palace a few years ago that got badly injured again, and she came through Marvin Williams from the academy to me. She trained with us for about the last 4 weeks before our season was ended. A young girl called Chloe, the team have just welcomed her like she's been there 2 or 3 years. They're so friendly, the players. They all go out their way to chat to people, to make people feel at home. So if you've got that, then half my job's done. You know what I mean? I can just say to the skipper. I mean, Cindy's one of the nicest people there is. So she makes a point of making people very welcome, and then they'll have a bit of banter, a bit of jokes and stuff, and it's all good. Yeah, a very, very good bunch of players.
I know she's listening as well, and just because she is, we spoke about how she'd not been at the club that long, and when you made her captain, what was it about her that you thought she has to be the leader of this group?
Again, it kind of, I mean, Cindy's always been a calming influence. So she's not one of those captains that will scream and shout at people. It's very, very rarely she gets emotional or really angry with anyone. She's very calm influence, and I think when you've got a lot of young players around you, that's what they need. I mean, we lost Emily was a very, very.
It's been a minute and a half so far, and on the pitch nothing.
So I had to find a replacement. Cindy was the obvious choice for me, and hopefully she'll be captain for a long, long time. And I hope she stays here. Like I said, I mean, the main reason for Cindy being captain is because of her influence on the pitch. She doesn't scream at people. She's very calming, very organising, and she's good in the change room as well. I can leave her to talk to the players. She'll settle everyone down. She'll get them organised. She'll do other things. She'll chat to people. She'll make new players feel welcome, like to Hayley Hawford, people like you said already. And I can't speak highly enough of her. We're very, very lucky to have her. And she's also a very good player as well, which helps. She reminds me, I mean, she's our Jamie Collins, put it that way, yeah? The amount of praise that Jamie Collins used to get for the men's first team, Cindy's the equivalent of that for me.
No, I completely agree with that. She bleeds yellow and brown. Just currently, I've put a couple of highlights up, and I just got the lovely slow-mo of Gabby Howe's 25-yard worldie. What's been some of your favourite goals so far of the season? I had the new London Lionesses goal up on there as well, which is just a brilliant bit of passing play. Cindy said to me last week, she said it's one of those things that if you saw on Twitter, they'd say, just because this isn't Barcelona, you're not giving it all the praise it deserves.
Yeah, it's a very, very good goal. That, I mean, Evie's finishing is a bit wonky, when she comes into it first of all. But the build-up play to it, I mean, I said to the players when I analysed it after, there were 62 passes in that game, that goal, for us keeping the ball for that long a time against the team at the top of the table, who were 2-0 up at the time. We weren't playing that well. We weren't as good as we should have been. That from a coaching manual and from a coach's point of view, it's a very, very good goal. I think emotionally, my favourite goal is probably Tamsin. I mean, listening to your commentary on that, puts the hairs on the back of my neck, it's absolutely brilliant. The one where Darcy played her through, and then Tamsin just absolutely rifles that at the top, hits the bar, goes in, bouncing back out the net. Absolutely fantastic. I love watching that goal. Just because the pure emotion on her face and what she's been through. I mean, to have 2 ACLs at her age and to come back from that is just absolute all credit to the work she's put in and the effort she's made to get herself back playing. So from an emotional point of view, that was
it's one of my early memories. It's one of my very early memories here at Sutton, that Potter goal. But it was the real first glimpse that I had of just how much of a tight group everyone is here, because it was without, I'm not even sure I knew the story behind it, but it was almost as if the reaction of my commentary is almost as if I knew that goal meant something more than the previous ones in that game. And it was a cracking game. No one, but you could just see the joy from
here she is now. She's looking for options. Wells dispossesses her for the second time, and she's sent Potter through. Potter needs to have a good touch here. The first one's good. The second one's even better. Left-footed shot. Oh, what a finish! Tamsin Potter with an absolutely fantastic goal off her left foot. Fantastic work from Wells to win the ball back. The ball gets played through. The first touch brings it under control. The second touch with her left foot pulls it out into space, and then she just wallops it straight into the top corner, takes a little touch off the crossbar and bounces right into the goal, and Sutton take the lead
you should be able to
against the league leaders. 1-0. Helen King to take the corner. She takes a nice long
everyone
run
except
up.
for I believe Paige.
She's going to whiz it in, and she does. It's curl to it. It comes off the foot, and Nicholson is there to claim, and it's smashed in by Browning. Once again, set pieces being the undoing for Sutton United. The keeper is almost blocked off by her defence, and Clark. Potter tries to get ahead on it. Howes doesn't know where the ball is. She's forced to spin. Wells gets the shot away, and it's in! 2-1! Wells with a lovely finish with her right foot, bottom left corner. The goalkeeper couldn't reach it. It goes through her hands almost, and it's a fantastic reaction to going back to 1-1. It's 2-1 to Sutton United. Wells with the goal. And there's been a slip on the ball from one of the Hackney players. It's led to McNicholas being through. She plays it into Butler, who turns. It falls to Wells. It's 3-1!
Yeah.
3-1 Sutton United.
Away from home, Diana scored a rifling top corner goal when we were chasing a game at Clapham, 2-1 down. And we fought back to bring it back to 2-2, and then she scored with about 5 minutes to go. Brilliant goal. We've had some very, very good goals this year. Tamara's outrageous shots from distance. A lot of goals from free kicks as well. Gabby's goal, like you said there, her first goal of the season, Faye's goal against Tottenham. There's very, very good goals this year. Lucky. We're going to have a goal scoring competition soon, apparently, so I'm sure everyone can vote on them.
For someone who works solely on the home games, how much of a mentality change is there for the away fixtures? Is it completely different? Because obviously you're not necessarily going to be on 4G, and you're not necessarily going to have that many people in support Does your strategy change when you're not at home?
It's interesting because if you look at my history over the last 3 years, I've won more games away from home than I have at home. Because I think sometimes the home ground, you get some clubs that don't ever play at grounds like we've got. And to them, I mean, the amount of teams that come to our ground and have a photo in the goal afterwards really winds me up, to be honest. That's what it is. Because it's a day out, they're playing at the stadium and stuff like that. So a lot of teams do lift themselves when they play at our ground. And then the other side of the coin is when we go away, we're not playing at the same facilities that we have, and it's difficult for the players to have to adjust themselves a bit. I mean, to go to Hackney Marshes, which is an awful place, to go there and play a couple of games this year, which we won, it's difficult. It's difficult for the players. It's a long journey, not a nice area, horrible place to play football. You know what I mean? It's massive open air thing where there's wind everywhere, the pitches aren't great, but they have to use their experience, they dig in and they work hard, and they've been very, very good away from home this year. I think one slip up against Leighton Orient, but apart from that, away from home we're excellent. We played Tottenham towards the end of the season and it was like an ice rink, honestly. I mean, we were worried the game was going to be called off because there was so much snow and ice on the pitch, and we were outrageous. We won that game 5-0, I think, on top of my head. We were absolutely superb. I think Faye got a hat-trick in the first 8 minutes. So they're very, very good at adjusting themselves, really. They just go out and do their thing. I mean, to be honest, most of the time I don't really need to give much of a team talk. I mean, I'm just repeating everything to them all the time, really. Just kind of get through to them. I'll tell you this quickly, I won't bore you too long, but I did my longest team talk at the end before the Palace game, because I knew it would be Faye's last game, and before she retires. So that was my longest team talk I did, where I went round and just praised them all individually. They all look at me as if I'm mental. Why am I doing that? But the reason was to give Faye the send-off she deserved.
Well, it has been a pleasure discussing with you the ups and downs of your career so far. For those of you who do not know, there have been adverts for trials, and obviously you've not been able to set any dates yet because of the lockdown we're in. But how many players are you looking for, and what's the sort of situation for these trials? Because I think there might be some people on here listening that might want to come down to them and they need to know more.
We do, obviously, we always like to have trials. Like I said, I'm keeping the majority of the first team, but I've identified a few areas we need to maybe improve or to bring in fresh faces in. With Faye retiring at the end of the year, obviously there's a shortage of centre forwards. So it's an area we're dominantly looking at, but we've got some very good players in the under-21s at the moment. The under-21s will be losing a few players to university, which happens at this age group. So the recruitment there will be good. I mean, I know a couple of people that I've already spoken to that are coming to trials that I'm keen to sign. We'll look at, and it's always nice to have the events because people come up nowhere. You know what I mean? Going back to Cindy came to one of the trials. Wasn't a player that we scouted before. She came and surprised me. I didn't know much about her before that, if I'm honest. I knew she played for FC Wimbledon, but I hadn't seen her play. So you always get some players coming. Evie Nevitt last year came to the trial. First trial I saw her, I wanted her straight away, and I tried to talk her into it from the first session. So it's important to have them. We can't confirm dates yet. The adverts have gone out kind of saying that we are having them, and for the youth section as well, for under 8s up to under 16s. We will have them. I mean, obviously, if the lockdown is removed and stuff, but we can do these kind of gatherings again, then we've got dates penciled in, and they're in sort of June, July, around that area. I can't give you the exact dates yet, but if we have to move them back, we will. We had a meeting the other night with the kind of section heads for the women's section, the people like David Meek and Faye, David Tully will deal with everything, but we formulated a plan how we'll deal with everything. We know what we're doing. The trials are pretty second nature to us, they run pretty smoothly. We're getting inquiries at the moment from players, and we're speaking to people at the moment. So yeah, it's a good process. And like I said before, we won't go out and poach people. We won't contact players. We'll let them come to us if they do that, and they've got the right attitudes and they want to work hard and play for a club that will look after them and give them as much back as they give us. Then I'm sure we'd be happy to sign them.
Well, with the delay due to the pandemic, we must be on what 5-6 month league unbeaten run now.
Yeah, I mean, I would correct myself from earlier, and Cindy, I think, pointed that out in the chat, that the cup final hasn't been cancelled. We had an email the other day about it, just to say that they are planning on holding that cup final. So that's some good news.
That is good news, because the fixture's been set.
Sorry?
The fixture has been set. We know it's not as if it's one match, and if it has to be with a limited amount of people there, it should be doable. But it's not as if it's a competition or a league or it's just a final. So hopefully we can get that game out of the way pretty early on when the releases are.
Well, that's our hope too. That's the plan. I know you're desperate to commentate on it because it's a cup final. So I'm really hopeful that it gets played at some point. Like I said, it's good that it hasn't been cancelled. I'm told the county leagues, Middlesex, London and Surrey have got every intention of holding the game, so that's good news, definitely. And we'll prepare rightly for it when we can.
Well, we desperately look forward to that, and we all can't wait for the football to come back. But for the time being, stay safe, everyone. Do you have anything that you'd like to let people know before we call an end to today's stream, Duncan?
Just one thing I'd like to say, listening to Paul Doswell's interview the other day, he talked about how this club is unique and how it's run by a lot of volunteers, and people give up their time for nothing, and people go out their way to do things for this club to make it what it is. And that couldn't be more evident with people like you, Connor. I mean, yourself, Will, Sam, Cameron, Paul, Lockton, Cindy, our little media section have been absolutely brilliant this year. The players think so much of you guys. They really, really appreciate everything you do. Giving up your time to do things like this tonight, all the match commentary, all the interviews you do after the game. I mean, it is like being almost like a Premiership club, and people don't realise the amount of work that goes into that tonight, that you've done these interviews and the time you're giving up and all the times you come to the games for us as well. And everyone at Sutton United, FCTV, James King, the other James as well, Ahmed, Tom, all of you guys just do an amazing job, and we're very lucky to have all that here. And so on behalf of the players and myself and my coaches, we couldn't thank you enough, Connor.
Well, and I think on behalf of the women's side of Sutton United TV is that we are incredibly grateful to have the opportunity to film, commentate, interview such a great team with a great group of people that we get all the access we want. If someone needs help with something, someone happens to know it. It really is a good family of people that work here at Sutton, and the amount of people who volunteer just to make this club feel as big as it does to all of us. And with the women's team, the men's team, it's nice to give the players and the club the treatment that it feels like it deserves. And I think that everyone at Sutton SUFC TV really does make a proper good show, and it feels like we are top tier, just like any other professional football club's YouTube television account. I think we all do a stellar job.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And we got to thank Sutton for allowing us to be able to do that, and it makes our lives, our portfolios look a little bit better, and it gives you help to be able to look back at fixtures, and it gives the women an opportunity to watch themselves. And when some of these players are in 10 years' time, they'll be able to look back and see where they started, or where they blossomed, or when they were in their prime. But whichever it is, the fact that we are publicising this team and the content that we make is nothing but good, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, the players are very, very lucky and very fortunate to have everything videoed, and that they really, really do appreciate it. I mean, immediately as soon as the game's over on a Sunday, I mean, I'm getting texts in the evening, is the game on huddle yet? Can we see the game yet? The highlights are over. It's kind of done interviews. They can't wait for everything. And they all share on their own social media stuff, and it's absolutely fantastic. We're very, very lucky to have all that. I mean, the players here are very lucky what they get. They don't pay much to we don't charge them for football or anything like that. They get obviously gym membership, they get analysis, they get very, very good training. They play on a fantastic, what I'd say world-class pitch, and they're very, very lucky. But they all appreciate it, and they all work very hard. And thank you again, Connor, for everything you do.
No, it's a pleasure. And well, next week.
Emotional now, aren't we?
Oh, we soppy. Next week, we will be back to interviewing a couple of players. It will be our top goal scorer so far, Darcy Wells, and I believe it is also Gabby Howe going to be joining us.
Apparently, so yeah, you've got the Bromley girls, yeah, Gabby and Darcy, so they'll entertain you definitely.
Hopefully they don't bully me too much, but no, it should be good fun. We should have plenty of content on SUFC TV throughout the rest of the week, from the men's side as well. But Duncan, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, as it always is. Slightly longer interview than we usually do, and no handshake afterwards. I guess with the circumstances, it's probably for the best.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look after yourself and stay safe.
And you, mate, stay safe. All the best, and thank you for watching, everybody. We will see you all very soon. You've been watching Sutton United FC TV. Thank you. Good night. Right, so that